And I think certain words and terms become very topical and trendy.
New photos of Meghan Markle just hit the internet, and wow, these aren't the same old shots everyone's been debating for years. These are brand new, never-before-seen images pulled from private collections that were meant to stay hidden forever. But the real shock isn't just the photos themselves, it's who she's seen with. Meghan isn't just posing, she's moving in seriously elite spaces. People in Middle Eastern high society circles are finally speaking up, and what they're revealing changes everything. They're saying that back in her pre-royal days, Meghan wasn't just casually socializing, this was strategic networking. She was building connections with Gulf state royalty and ultra-wealthy power players, moving through the kind of rooms where influence runs deep. This wasn't some random party scene, it was all part of a bigger play. Sources claim Meghan was quietly making moves in Monaco and all along the Mediterranean, locking in access to some of the richest and most powerful figures on the planet. And these weren't influencer hangouts or tourist cruises. These were ultra-exclusive gatherings, the kind most people only dream about getting invited to. The leaked images show Meghan aboard massive luxury yachts worth tens of millions, surrounded by prominent names from Saudi Arabia and other high-profile nations. Just looking at the setting raises questions. These don't look like casual vacations. These are moments that scream power, wealth, and connections that go far beyond what the public ever knew. The timing of all this is absolutely wild. Just when Meghan's working hard to rebuild her image, dropping Netflix projects, and pushing new lifestyle ventures, these explosive photos suddenly surface. It's like someone waited for the perfect moment to strike, dropping pictures that totally challenge the polished image her team's been carefully crafting. Someone clearly wanted these old connections brought to light, and they chose now to make it happen. But the real mystery isn't only what's in the photos, it's who leaked them and what else they've got hidden. Because let's be real, leaks like this don't just happen by chance. And once one set drops, there's almost always more coming. Within hours, those yacht photos spread across social media like wildfire. Hashtags went crazy, and TikTok investigators started zooming in on faces, matching backgrounds, and breaking down every detail. Twitter lit up too, people were connecting dots faster than ever, and theories exploded everywhere. These aren't grainy, recycled pictures or random screenshots, these are crisp, high-quality shots from exclusive Mediterranean scenes during her pre-royal life. And what they reveal raises serious questions about how her climb into elite circles really began. That's why the internet just can't let it go. Everyone's analyzing every inch of these photos, searching for the bigger story hiding behind those glossy smiles and luxury settings. They're not vague, and they're definitely not blurry, they're crystal clear. No more, maybe that's her debates, there's no guessing this time. Meghan once said she wanted to control her own narrative after stepping away from royal life. But these images tell a story she's never addressed, and that's exactly why the buzz online is so intense. The difference hits you the second you see these photos. For years, people argued over those old, fuzzy pictures that could easily be brushed off, but not anymore. These new leaks are sharp, detailed, and they line up perfectly with what critics have been whispering about all along. Everyone's asking the same burning questions. How did a struggling actress end up living this kind of luxury? Who opened those doors for her? Who made those high-level introductions? Now those questions are everywhere, and things are getting even more interesting. Insiders from elite international circles are suddenly speaking up, and they're all telling a strikingly similar story. They say Meghan wasn't just randomly showing up to yacht parties, she was moving through a tightly connected, well-organized networking circuit that only a select few ever get close to. This wasn't casual mingling, it was strategy in motion. This is a world where relationships are built carefully and quietly, where powerful figures meet people who know how to blend in, play the part, and never spill details. One insider described it clearly, saying these networks revolve around travel to private destinations, exclusive gatherings, and offering classy company, all while keeping conversations completely off the record. That's top-level networking, no question about it. And when you look at Meghan back then, ambitious, lesser-known, suddenly appearing in circles packed with extreme wealth and influence, she fits that profile perfectly. It's the kind of access that doesn't just fall into someone's lap. Something or someone clearly helped make it happen. Someone definitely had to vouch for her. You don't just walk into circles like that without someone powerful opening the door. Someone had to make those introductions, smooth things over, and make sure she was invited into rooms that most people never even hear about. And here's the part no one's daring to touch publicly. Insiders now claim that these leaked photos didn't come from random fans or paparazzi. They came from inside those same elite circles. Someone with proof, someone who knows exactly who Meghan was meeting and how those relationships were built. If that's true, then this could just be the beginning. because if one insider had access to these yacht photos, what else is sitting out there? What other receipts haven't been dropped yet? What stories are waiting for the right moment to explode online? Even though mainstream outlets are treading carefully, high society circles are buzzing like never before. The talk is that these images place Meghan at private gatherings with powerful figures from Saudi Arabia and other Gulf nations, same yachts, same locations, same trusted facilitators who arrange the most exclusive events money can buy. And let's be real, you don't just stumble into those kinds of spaces.
This for me is just another chapter that I think is full of, I'm a very curious person, new learn.
And that wasn't by chance, it was intentional. That matters because access at that level is never random. It's granted, not given. What's wild is how at ease she looks in those shots, not nervous, not awkward, but completely comfortable. Like someone who already knew the rules of that world and how to play the game flawlessly. Critics are already calling her a master manipulator, saying it's all connected, that same control, that same image management, maybe even the same reason she and Prince Harry walked away from royal life in the first place. Privacy. We want privacy. That's what Meghan kept saying, but let's be real. A 6-part Netflix series and a full-on Oprah interview don't exactly scream private. What she really seemed to want was control over her image, her story, and how the world sees her. And now, insiders are talking more freely than ever, and what they're revealing adds a whole new twist. According to people familiar with those luxury social circles, Meghan's yacht days weren't about casual meet and greets or fleeting encounters. They say she built steady connections long-term, carefully maintained ties with members of elite Saudi and Gulf state circles. These weren't rumors or one-time run-ins. We're talking about professional-level relationships that involved repeat travel, exclusive invitations, and absolute discretion. No gossip, no leaks, just quiet networking among people who knew exactly how to move in silence. And that's exactly why these new leaks have everyone's attention. If insiders from those elite international networks are suddenly breaking their silence, and if private collections are starting to produce never-before-seen photos, then someone clearly decided it's time to dig deeper into her past. It feels like someone's pushing back hard against the polished version of her story that's been sold for years. Just look at the details in these images. They tell a story all on their own. The photos are dated between 2008 and 2012, right when Meghan was still a struggling actress barely getting by in Los Angeles. Yet somehow she's showing up on massive luxury yachts in Monaco and across the Mediterranean spots usually reserved for billionaires and world-class power players. The timing connects perfectly too. Summer 2010 shots place her at yacht events that lined up exactly with when Saudi and Gulf state figures were known to be hosting gatherings in those same exclusive ports, on those same multi-million-dollar yachts, using the same elite facilitators known for linking high-level business and social circles. The overlap is way too precise to ignore. Then came 2011, the year everything started to shift. Out of nowhere, Meghan landed her breakout role on Suits, and it didn't exactly happen through the usual Hollywood hustle. For years, people have quietly wondered how those doors opened so fast, and now, these newly leaked photos might offer a clue. They hint at years of networking with people who had real pull, the kind who can make one phone call and completely change a career. By the time Meghan met Prince Harry in 2016 through Marcus Anderson and the Soho House crowd, she'd already spent nearly a decade learning how to move through elite spaces like she belonged there. She understood power dynamics, she knew how to position herself, and she definitely knew how to make herself valuable in rooms where influence mattered most. That kind of confidence doesn't come out of nowhere. It's learned, it's earned, and it's built through strategy. And here's the part that really turns heads. These leaked images don't show random moments. They show a pattern, multiple yachts, multiple summers, and the same kind of high-profile figures popping up again and again. That's not coincidence, that's calculated networking at its finest. And this leak? It's no accident either. Whoever dropped these photos knew exactly what they were doing. They waited for the perfect timing, right as Meghan's rebrand with Netflix and her lifestyle ventures was gaining traction, just when her past needed to stay quiet, and boom, now it's everywhere. Someone's clearly aiming for maximum impact, and they hit the mark. One insider even added, "There have been plenty of scandals that never saw the light of day. The palace has shut many down. The belief was always that they could silence stories before they spread. But when something like this breaks through, it forces them into plan B, and that, if true, could be seriously damaging." They waited patiently until Meghan was comfortable, until she truly believed that part of her life was buried deep enough that no one could ever dig it up again. Then, out of nowhere, boom. Brand new photos surface online, shots no one had ever seen before, and the timing couldn't be more deliberate. This doesn't look random, not even close. Whoever released these images clearly knows way more than what's been shown so far. These aren't just casual leaks. They feel like warning shots, carefully timed drops meant to say, keep acting like nothing happened, and see what comes next. That alone makes it pretty obvious that the source isn't some outsider. This has the fingerprints of someone inside those same elite international circles, someone who's seen it all firsthand, someone who's tired of watching Meghan reshape her own story, and who knows exactly how those high-level networks really worked and how she climbed through them step by step. Now, it looks like that person has decided the world deserves to see the whole picture. As for why, that's the mystery. Maybe it's someone she clashed with. Maybe it's a power player trying to protect certain families from being dragged into current controversies. Or maybe it's simply someone who thinks the truth matters more than image control and PR polish. But whatever the motive, the timing is explosive. If yacht photos are surfacing now in January 2026, nearly 20 years after Meghan supposedly moved on from that world, then this wasn't some spontaneous upload. This was planned. Someone's been sitting on this evidence, waiting, watching, and saving it for the moment it would hit hardest. Here's the cold reality: these new photos shatter the silence she's kept for years. Meghan spent so long brushing off any talk about her yacht connections, dismissing it all as baseless gossip. But now, these fresh, crystal-clear images from private collections are doing the talking for her, placing her exactly where insiders have been claiming all along. She was networking exactly the way insiders described, and now, it's not just rumor, it's receipts. The evidence is right there in those photos. And what's even louder than the pictures themselves is the silence that followed. No statements, no explanations, no attempt from her team to provide context or calm the storm, nothing. Just total quiet while those images blow up across every major platform like wildfire. And let's be real, silence speaks volumes. It's starting to look like they're hoping the noise fades away on its own, that people will lose interest and stop asking the obvious question, how did a struggling actress pull off that lifestyle and build such high-level connections? Because if these photos were harmless or easy to explain, her team would have jumped on it immediately. They'd be out there saying, here's what really happened, here's who invited her, here's why it was all completely normal. But instead, not a word. And that silence is exactly why the speculation just keeps growing. Every day the photos spread further, and every day the questions get sharper. People aren't buying the idea that this was all coincidence, not anymore. These newly leaked yacht photos are opening up conversations Meghan has avoided for years about her early networking strategies and the real story behind her rise through elite social circles. Now the internet's watching closely, analyzing every frame, every timestamp. Because these aren't old blurry screenshots, these are brand new images surfacing in January 2026, showing Meghan right in the middle of international high society scenes during her so-called struggling actress era, and that changes everything. The first question everyone's asking is the simplest: who was funding that lifestyle? Because let's be honest, a cable TV actress barely scraping by in Los Angeles doesn't just casually end up at luxury yacht events with global power players. That kind of access costs serious money, and someone had to make it happen. Someone was definitely footing the bill for that kind of lifestyle, the travel, the access, the exclusive invites. The big question is, who was it, and what was the deal? Because no one just casually strolls onto private yachts packed with global elites without serious backing. Someone had to vouch for her. Someone had to make her look like she belonged in those circles, and whoever that person was, they had influence. So, the first question: who was paying for all of it? Those flights, those yachts, those appearances, that level of luxury doesn't come cheap. The second question: how did she get in? Private gatherings like that are invite-only, tightly controlled. You don't just show up. Someone positioned Meghan as worth knowing. Someone decided she was valuable enough to be brought into that world. Then comes the third question: what did those relationships actually involve? The leaked photos don't show crowded parties or media events. They show intimate, highly selective gatherings, small groups, heavy security, and powerful people. That's not casual socializing. That's professional-level networking with people who shape industries and influence governments. The fourth question: how did all this connect to her rise in Hollywood and beyond? Because somehow she went from being an unknown actress hustling for auditions to landing suits, and not long after that, she's being introduced to Prince Harry through Soho House connections. All of that came after years of quietly moving through those same international elite circles. So who opened those doors? Who made the introductions that changed everything? And finally, the fifth question, the one everyone's talking about right now: Who's leaking these photos and why now? These images stayed buried for over a decade, totally unseen, locked away, and suddenly, in January 2026, they're everywhere. That doesn't just happen by chance. Someone clearly wants Meghan's networking history dragged into the spotlight, and the timing feels way too calculated to be random. Whoever's behind this knew exactly when to strike, and it looks like this is only the beginning. These aren't wild theories, they're real questions backed by brand new evidence that suddenly surfaced. And Meghan's silence? It's only making the noise even louder. The timing of all this couldn't be more critical, and that's what makes it so explosive. Right now, Meghan's in the middle of a full-blown rebrand, rolling out Netflix projects, launching lifestyle products, and pushing to move past all the royal drama by presenting herself as authentic, relatable, and inspiring. She's been working hard to sell that just like you image, and then, boom. These new yacht photos drop out of nowhere, showing her years deep in high-end networking with international elites. Photos that don't quite match the down-to-earth, self-made image she's been building. It raises the obvious question, how does that line up with relatable Meghan giving lifestyle advice like she's just another regular woman figuring things out? And how does it fit with the inspiring Meghan story about fighting her way to the top through pure talent and determination? The truth is, it doesn't fit cleanly, not even close, and that's the problem. Because these photos hint at something bigger, that her rise might not have been based on grit alone, but also on years of strategic networking within powerful circles during those yacht years. It paints a more complicated picture, one that clashes directly with the self-made story she's been pushing for years. And let's be fair, networking itself isn't a crime. It's how business, entertainment, and influence all work. But when the public image is built on the idea of doing it all alone, this kind of contradiction hits hard. Once people notice that gap between the image and the evidence, they start asking the very questions Meghan seems desperate not to answer. Here's what makes this entire situation especially tough for Meghan. These new leaks prove something massive. It's not just about a few photos, it's about the fact that people have been holding onto evidence for years, quietly waiting for the perfect moment to let it loose. That means Meghan was never really in the clear. She's always been just one leak away from her past crashing straight into the image she's trying to sell today. And now, with every fresh drop, she loses a bit more control over her story. Because you can't steer the narrative when brand new proof keeps surfacing. Every new image drags attention right back to the chapters she's carefully avoided discussing in public, and that's exactly what's making this rebrand wobble. She's out here trying to present herself as a grounded mom, even inviting a reporter along for what looked like a casual school drop-off moment, something she wanted the public to see. But the contrast is jarring when you hear insiders saying, "If I wanted to drop Archie off at school in the UK, I'd have 40 photographers waiting in a press pen," while others point out that William and Kate quietly drop off their 3 kids, including the future king, with no media circus at all. Now, here's where things get even more serious, the international angle. These leaked yacht photos don't just show glamorous scenes, they connect to circles known for absolute discretion, the kind built around Middle Eastern royalty and Gulf state elites. In those worlds, silence is law. What happens in those private networks stays buried. No one talks, ever. It's not written down, it's simply understood. So, the fact that brand new images are surfacing now, and sources from those same tight-knit environments are suddenly opening up about Meghan's connections, says something huge, something has shifted. That iron wall of silence that once protected her seems to be cracking. The level of protection that used to surround her? It's clearly not being extended anymore, and that alone changes the entire game. That kind of leak signals a major shift. Maybe the people inside those elite circles didn't like the way Meghan later reshaped her story for the public. Maybe they've got details that completely clash with the version she's been promoting. Or maybe, after all the recent controversies, she became too risky to quietly protect anymore. It's also possible she simply crossed the wrong person, someone powerful, who decided that silence was no longer required. Whatever the motive, one thing's clear: if international connections are allowing these yacht photos to resurface, and if longtime insiders are finally talking, then Meghan's lost a big piece of the protection that used to keep that chapter locked down. And that's something she should definitely be worried about, because once discretion disappears, nothing stays off limits. What else could be out there? More photos, travel records, invitation lists, messages? People who were there, who saw how those luxury networking scenes actually worked? It's all on the table now, and that's exactly why the internet can't stop buzzing. Here's what likely comes next. These yacht photo leaks might just be the first move. Whoever's behind this could be testing the waters right now, watching how Meghan and the media react, and deciding how much more to release based on the response. This feels less like a random drop and more like a calculated rollout step by step, piece by piece. And if that's true, the next wave could be even bigger, more images, more documents, maybe even first-hand accounts showing exactly how those trips were arranged, who set them up, and how those elite introductions really went down behind closed doors. Meghan's options are narrowing fast. She can stay silent and let the questions pile up, or she can speak out. But doing that might pull even more attention to the very details she's tried to keep buried. She's never spoken about this part of her past publicly, not once. And now, the whole narrative is getting messy. Her carefully built rebrand is already under serious pressure, and these new yacht photos are putting even more cracks in it. They challenge the transparency she's always claimed to have and raise real doubts about how complete her story actually is. With these fresh images leaking in January 2026, straight from private collections and clearly released by someone who knows the entire backstory, a chapter Meghan probably hoped would stay buried is now out in the open for everyone to see. This doesn't look like a random drop. It looks like someone's done staying quiet, someone ready to show the world exactly what her networking strategy during those yacht years really looked like and who she was mixing with in those elite circles. Meanwhile, as the evidence keeps spreading across every major platform, her reaction hasn't changed. Complete silence. And that silence doesn't come off confident or calm. It feels like someone hoping the storm just passes, hoping the questions fade away instead of facing them head-on with real explanations and full context. But one thing's certain, this story isn't slowing down anytime soon. More pieces are surfacing, more insiders are talking, and people everywhere are paying attention. If you want to stay in the loop with every new drop and behind-the-scenes twist, make sure you hit like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you don't miss a thing. Follow Fame Watch daily for the latest updates, fresh leaks, and insider breakdowns because this story is far from over.